Hello, welcome to episode 222 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 1st of September. So welcome everybody. I hope you've all had a lovely crafty week since the last time I've spoken to you, and I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last 7 days, which is mainly knitting, to be honest. So I've got some knitting, I've got a blast from the past which is knitting as well, a question from the Ask Me Anything thread, I have some information on my shop update, and then a little appearance from Jensen at the end of the podcast. So we have a few Makalongs going on in the Ravelry group and on Instagram. I'm not going to talk too much about them, but the information is in the description bar down below. The two of the Makalongs are actually supposed to come to an end at the end of August, but I'm going to give you an extra week for those, so I will draw for prizes next week. Make sure you get over to the Ravelry group or use the hashtags on Instagram for those. But I am going to start a new Makalong, the Christmas Craft Along 2022, so you can use the hashtag CHM Christmas Craft Along 2022 or go over to the Ravelry group, which I'll have opened by the time you watch this podcast, and you can share all your Christmassy makes, festive makes as well, not just Christmas. And it can be any craft. So let's get on with the knitting, shall we? And I have the most gorgeous finished object to show you. This is a beautiful shawl, and it's knitted by my lovely mother-in-law Liz out of some yarn that I purchased specifically for this shawl from the East Anglia Fibre Festival a few months ago, and I ended up getting Adam's mum to knit it because I haven't got a load of time to knit massive shawls, so I thought it might be nice for her to put it together because she loves shawl knitting. And this is the most gorgeous shawl. I love the way the colours work together, and I love this pattern. So this is the Different Light Shawl by Justina Lorkowska, and it is absolutely stunning. So at the bottom you've got some beautiful lace, and there is probably about 500 odd stitches by the time you get to that stage, so it is quite a wide shawl. But I do love that lacy pattern. I'll come a bit closer so you can see it, but that is the most beautiful lace at the edge. Quite a sort of basic lace, but it's just so effective in 4-ply yarn, I think. And then further up the shawl you've got some brioche, and that's the first time that Liz has knitted brioche and she really enjoyed it, so I'm really proud that she's managed to just do it and not have any problems with that. So that is gorgeous, that brioche there. So there's two colours, and they're both from Fruitful Fusion, one of which is called Cornish Sunset, but the other one didn't have a label on it. One of them is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, and the other one is 100% superwash merino, and I think the Cornish Sunset is the pink one here. I actually got the darker maroon colour from the sale bin in the Fruitful Fusion stall, so it must have been a sort of older colourway. But oh my goodness, look at that. I am so pleased, and I do love wearing maroon as well, so this is going to be worn a lot. So there's two ways that I could possibly wear it. If I've got a coat on and I can't wear it around my shoulders, I'll put it like this. But I think to do it real justice, you need to put it around the shoulders, I think. Isn't that the most gorgeous shawl? Beautiful, and it's a lovely size as well. It wraps over really nicely, and it's obviously a 2-colour shawl with 100 grams of each colour. So I'm absolutely in love with this shawl. Really pleased with how this has turned out. And thank you so much to Liz for knitting it up, because I would never have time to knit this as well as all the other things that I've got. And it also gives you guys plenty to look at for the podcast. But ooh, look at that beautiful stitch detail and the lace at the bottom. It's absolutely stunning and absolutely gorgeous. I blocked it last night and it blocked out really beautifully. When Liz had first knitted it, actually it only looked about this deep, so it's really stretched out a lot. I don't know why it surprises me when I've got lace shawls, but they always stretch out quite a bit, and it's absolutely beautiful. So definitely one I'd recommend to knit. It's written out really nicely. I had to read through it myself. The brioche actually looks like a slightly less confusing brioche. There's a slight modification than when I've done brioche previously. And it's just beautiful garter stitch bits in between. So I just wanted to show you how much yarn there was left. So almost a game of yarn chicken with the burgundy maroon colour, and then there was quite a bit, I'd say probably about 20 grams left of the other one, so a decent amount of yarn used up rather than being too much left over from 200-gram balls. So my next thing I've got to show you is a work in progress, and I haven't done an awful lot on this. I have been working on the advent cowl, which I'm not going to show you just yet, but hopefully when it's finished I can show you the first sample. But this is the Shift Cowl by Andrea Mowry, and I haven't done an awful lot since the last time, but I have started using the third colour, and I think I'd only done to about there, but you can see the lighter colour coming in now. So there's 3 colours that I'm using for the Shift Cowl. That is this is a merino and silk that I hand spun. This one is an alpaca, 100% alpaca that I've spun, and this one is a merino that I've spun. So they're all roughly sort of sport weight. These two are definitely sport weight, and this one's more like a DK, but I thought I'm just going to go for it, see how it comes out. And if I haven't got enough yardage of the DK one, I can always spin up something else of a similar colour and put it together. I'm sure that'll be absolutely fine. So it's a beautiful textured cowl, specifically designed for hand spun, and you can buy hand spun yarn, which is a lot of money, but luckily I have a bit of a stash of hand spun that I haven't used up yet, so I can dig into that supply. So next I have a pair of socks that I've got on the needles, which I started knitting since the last podcast, and this is called, well, I'm hoping I'll get this pronunciation right, the Dennis Fuga, hopefully that's correct. We'll put what the actual name of the pattern is on the screen so you know what I'm on about, and I will also put links to the pattern in the description bar down below and a photo on the screen so you can see what the sort of finished sock looks like. But I am knitting this sock, and it's mainly sort of ribbing, but the front there's these rolls of garter stitch. I've done a contrast cuff, but the actual pattern doesn't have it, but the back of the sock is ribbed. It's got these pearl ruffles on, and you can see that I'm actually halfway through a row. So I actually took this to the hairdressers when I went the other day to have a trim, and I obviously got halfway through a row and I didn't finish it, but I thought keep it real and show you what it looks like in the moment I've actually stopped knitting on it. So these 2 colours of yarn are this one, which is a Socks Yeah colourway, and it is colourway number 104 in the Sven colour. My ball winder is not working brilliantly, so it's not coming out with very neat cakes at the moment, so I apologise for my untidied cakes. This other colour is the Rivernits colourway, and it's My Heart Bleeds Wine, and it's this beautiful sort of deep burgundy with splashes of other colours. I did win this as a prize, and it is a gorgeous colourway, and I thought I was going to knit a shawl with it, but it is BFL, and I felt that it might be a little bit rough against my neck. I have got a couple of BFL shawls, and I do tend to pick them because they are a little bit less soft, so I thought, well, I'm going to knit this into a pair of socks and it'll get used a bit more often. So I thought those 2 colours would go really nicely together, and I saw them in my stash next to each other, and I thought, yes, those 2 go together really nicely, so I will make a pair of socks. And my lovely friend Julianne sent me this gorgeous pattern that I have been meaning to try for ages, and I was digging through my stash and I thought these 2 yarns would be perfect. Now Julianne sent it to me because it's got a slightly different type of heel, which I'm very excited to try out, so I will let you know how I get on, but I'm loving the sort of ribbed and the ruche detail so far. Obviously when this is on it'll stretch out a bit and look more like just pearls and knits rather than all ruched up, but I'm excited to see how those come out. So that is all the knitting I've got to show you, but I do have a blast from the past, which is another Justina Lorkowska pattern. Now this I also love. I really love Justina's patterns. She's got some really beautiful designs, and this one It's called the Aisling shawl. Again, I'm rubbish at pronunciation, but hopefully that is more or less correct. I'll leave a link to the pattern in the description bar down below. So you knit this shawl. It's like a crescent shaped shawl actually. Because I haven't blocked this for ages, the top of it started to sort of curl up a little bit like it was when I first knitted it. So I'll have to give this another block. But it is cast on at the top here, and then you knit outwards with these stripes and simple lace pattern, and then once you've done that you apply a very detailed lacy cabled border by knitting backwards and forwards all the way around the edge of the shawl. And I did think that that did take forever, but well worth it because it's an absolutely beautiful shawl. This is knitted in some Garn Studio drops in the baby alpaca and silk base, which to be honest I'm not loving, because I think that if I'd have done it in another yarn I'd have perhaps seen a better stitch detail on the border here. But I really like the way it's turned out overall anyway. But I'm not sure whether I'd use the Drops Fable baby alpaca and silk again, to be honest, just because there's not a lot of definition there. But I do love the finished shawl. So that is my blast from the past for this week. I ought to show you what it looks like on, so I'll just pop it over my shoulders so that you can see the full extent. It is a really lovely long shawl. I do like it when they're nice and long, because then there's less chance of it sort of flying away with the wind. And I have a question from the Ask Me Anything thread on the Ravelry group. You can ask me a question if you could pop over to the Ravelry group, or you can just drop me an email on crafthousemagik@gmail.com. So the question this week is from Carol. She was saying she's a new sock knitter, and she was asking which yarns and pattern will be suitable for hiking socks. So I definitely go for a commercial sock yarn, which is sort of a 75% wool and 25% nylon. You need a good nylon content there, because obviously they're going to be worn and rubbing against the shoe quite a lot. So I definitely go for commercial yarn. I especially like Opal, which I do sell in my shop, but also I like West Yorkshire Spinners. I think Drops Fable is pretty good, especially if you're on a budget. They're pretty inexpensive, and there's a number of other major companies that do commercial sock yarn, so I've definitely go for a commercial sock yarn with good nylon content. Or actually, if you did buy one with like silk in, silk has a long fibre which is actually really strong, so silk would also strengthen the socks. If you just had 100% merino, you'd end up with it sort of wearing and getting a hole in. In terms of the pattern, I would go for a standard heel flap and gusset pattern. I think you could do slip stitches on the back of a heel, and I think because you're going to be sort of moving around in the shoe quite a lot with walking, I'd go for a ribbed one as well. So I have got a free standard simple top down pattern for a sock on my website, which I will leave a link to in the description bar down below. I'd probably go for something like that, but I do ribbed all the way down the leg and also down the top of the sock, like a 2x2 rib, just because that will really give you a nice fit, stop your socks from slipping down as you're walking quite a lot. Some people also like to do slip stitches just on the back of the heel underneath, because their sock tends to wear there as well as the back of the heel, but it depends where your heel tends to rub on the shoes that you wear, I think. So you could put some slip stitches, because that sort of thickens up the fabric and makes it last longer on the back of the heel, and you could add some and just underneath the sole of the heel as well, just at the back there, just to give you a bit more strength. So I hope that helps, Carol. So I've got a little appearance from Jensen at the end of the podcast, but first I just wanted to chat to you quickly about what's in the shop this week. So we still have the September yarn clubs, and I've also got a list in there for the September and October together, so you can save on postage if you just want to buy the two together, and then they get posted in October. Those are still in the shop. They'll be in the shop until the 4th of September, and there's, like I said, there's also listings for September on their own as well. September listings will be shipped on the 16th of September. If you buy the October ones as well, they won't be shipped till October. I have ordered some of the opals that have gone out of stock that went in the shop last week, so watch out for those in the shop update this week, tomorrow, Friday at 7 PM. So over to you, Jensen. Hello, Jensen. Are you showing everybody your cot? He isn't wearing anything new this week, but he has got some handmade trousers and a handmade t-shirt on. So the handmade t-shirt is the Elm t-shirt, which I showed you on last week's podcast. And the trousers are the tangerine trousers. But these are the ones with the feet in, and I have shown these before, but I thought I'd tell you what they are in case you hadn't seen them. Now, Jensen wanted to show you a lovely gift that our friend Claire made for him when he was little, and it is a needle punch bear, which is absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous colours as well, which go perfectly with his lamp as well. So thank you ever so much, Claire, and Jensen just wanted to share that with you all. Thank you very much, Jensen.
Bye bye. Bye bye bye.
You can hear the ice cream van coming down the road. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you in the next podcast. Bye.